document showing up telling you that we're recording at this point in time. All right then, so again, my name is Haley Hitchcock. We are talking today about the Reconnect tool and non-app origins, or origins version 2. I spoke about having a few guests join us. The first one is Leah Kelly. So Leah is actually the one who kind of puts our presentations together and really understands our content. You'll also know her from putting our blogs together. So any of those blogs that you see when you log into 10th Street and you click on the little alert button, or if you go to 10thstreet.com, those are all written by Leah.
Hi, everyone.
We also have a special guest today. It's John Deary. He's the actual developer of Origins. So if we have some people on the call that have really in-depth questions about the development or how it was constructed, or just general questions overall about Origins, then John is joining us today to kind of facilitate and help with that process.
Hello, everyone.
Lastly, we have George Baranti. So if you are using Origins today, that is a person that you've probably spoken with in the setup process. So if we do have any questions that come across regarding the setup process, then George would be your person.
Hello, everyone.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We'll have Leah, John, and George go ahead and mute for now. We'll walk you through the presentation. It won't take very long, just a few minutes, and then we'll do the live demo while we're doing the Q&A session. All right, so the Reconnect tool is the very first item that we're going to speak about. So it's an automated way to track upcoming eligibility of your applicants through an interactive homepage report. Those homepage reports can be assigned to specific recruiters or all of your recruiters, and we'll show you a little bit about that a little bit further into the presentation. But just want you to be aware that it can be assigned to different people within your organization. It's an absolute great tool to reconnect you with drivers who maybe do not qualify at a specific point in time. The tool is actually located under the Tools menu. It is something you need to speak with your advisor about. But you can select a Reconnect tag and you can select a Reconnect reason tag. The Reconnect tag is something associated with a date. So that's the date that you need to follow up with someone. You can use one of your current tags if you already have that set up, or you can actually create a brand new one. Same with the tag reason. So their Reconnect reason, it might be that they need another violation to drop off of their MVR before they become actually eligible. Or they're 20 and a half and they need to be 21 to work for you. So that's how you would set the Reconnect date, and the reason code or the Reconnect reason might be MVR, it could be age, it could be experience, whatever you freeform would like to type in to that particular area. There's also an optional step where we can automate some of this process for you. So in the first part, you can design tags or use tags that you already have along with the reasons associated with those tags. But then in option 2 of the setup process, you can actually select the status. Anyone who goes into, in this particular case, not qualified, that they're going to show up on your homepage report within 60 days. And all of those parameters are judged by you, meaning if you want to say anyone who was in not qualified experience, we need to follow up within 30 days or 120 days, this is going to keep track of it for you automatically. So if you move them, in this case, to not qualified, it's automatically going to set that tag for a 60-day time frame. So that's the kind of neat benefit that goes along with it, and some automation where you don't have to remember to go in and set a tag based on a specific status. You can also assign the users. So I mentioned this in the very beginning. You can select the users that should have access to this homepage report. So when you first log into 10th Street, that very first page is your homepage. It will show on that particular report, and you'll be able to communicate and set those specific parameters by the recruiters that you want to assign. This is what the report looks like, and it's really, really neat. You can set a date parameter out there, change that date range. You can click on the individual's name, and it will bring up a subject box. It tells you the actual Reconnect date that you need to start communicating with that individual, what status they are currently in, and the reason, the reconnect reason. So whether there's a date applied, whether there's something out there associated with it. It will also provide you with their phone numbers, both primary and secondary, if they've listed as secondary. If they are a Pulse user, you can click on the icon and immediately communicate with that individual. So if it were 5-2 in this example, you may want to reach out to them via Pulse. It will also show the blue man if you are a Pulse user. So, and the candidate happens to have filled out a filter, then you can click on the blue man and see just how much that individual is really connecting and matching with your positions. You can email the individual as well. So we'll talk a little bit about Origins next, but if any of you have questions right now about the Reconnect tool and how to utilize that or any questions surrounding it, please go ahead and start typing those questions in. Leah will start getting prepared to answer those here in just a moment. So for our current Origin client users, this is an enhancement to specific features that will enhance Origins from what you're currently using today. If you are not an Origins user, you should be. It helps you manage the performance of all of your job boards, of your landing pages, of your phone numbers that you have associated with your account, Drip if you're using Drip, refer codes. It kind of gives you an idea, here's what I'm spending money with, and is it really performing for me? So the two new features that we're talking about are being able to track non-app sources, so something that we're calling non-app, and that's moving the starting line back even further to provide an even more accurate attribution model for you. So here's an example. So if John visits your landing page on Monday, Tuesday he calls and talks to someone based on a specific telephone number. He then submits a third-party lead or a job board lead. He then submits an Intel app. He ends up getting hired. Who gets credit for John's hire? Well, in Origins, everyone gets credit for it. So it's not a tool to look at how many people you have hired. It's a tool to look at what the engagement is from your candidate population and where they're going and seeking out information about you. So it basically connects the dots. It's taking 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 in this case and giving you information about how the landing page performed, how the phone number performed, the job board lead, and then ultimately the Intella app, and keeps track of all of that information for you through a hiring funnel. We also have the Weblink. So that's kind of the first one that we're going to talk about. So, and it's specific to landing pages to kind of help you with that. And it's a JavaScript. And that's why we have John on the call today in the event that any people have questions about the JavaScript, how to utilize that and place that on landing pages. That's why we have John joining us today. So for current Origin users, you now have the settings tab over here. It will also show you the bucket configuration. So when we walk through and talk to you about the hiring funnel, the hiring process, what are those values? In this case, we're just showing a couple of examples because we're in a demo system. We're showing that on the final bucket, we're looking at the status of hired, leased on board, etc. Now down here at the very bottom where the arrow is, this is the script I was talking about, the JavaScript. You can copy this code and place it on a landing page, and it's going to help with the attributions. You know, did somebody visit your landing page? Did it turn into a full Intella app because they visited your landing page? This is how it shows up in Origins. So you'll have new sources that show up and then referrer codes if those apply to your landing pages as well. You can create a new Origin saying web campaign, if that's what you want to call it, or call it your website or landing page 1, landing page 2. You put the costs in associated with that, and it breaks down how many leads are coming through, how many are converting to full Intel apps, and how many hires did you really get out of that. This is on our summary page of Origins, but you can get so much more detail from the different types of tabs that are associated with Origins. So number 2 are calls. So many of us use CallSource. There's a couple, Marchex is another one that is out there that we might utilize that can integrate with 10th Street. So when those phone numbers are coming through or those phone calls are coming through, we're able to start tracking those designated numbers that route through your recruiting line and place those into Origin so that you can again measure the performance. on that specific phone line. So that shows up a little bit differently. So for current Origins users, you'll now see something that's in the contact section. So they're an actual contact, not so much, you know, an actual source or origin specifically. Excuse me. So in this case, we created an origin, a phone, and there happens to be 2 phone numbers associated with it. Again, it's going to measure the lead apps, converting into full apps, converting into hires. You can set those origins up however you like. Now, if those 2 companies that I just mentioned, if you're using someone else, quickly jot down this email, this actual web page. So it's www.10street.com/API/. And that gives the call company that you're working with the ability to integrate with us. So we'll work through those as we see more and more common denominators with those other companies that are out there, and hopefully be able to get those online. So again, it's helping you to track everyone, job boards, your Intella apps, your landing pages, your phone calls that are coming through, and kind of help you to see where that performance is happening. So that's it. So if you guys can go ahead and start submitting questions, if you also have some on Origins. Any questions about either of those 2 solutions today, please go ahead and call your advisor. Now, Leah, I'm going to ask you to come off of mute and start going through some of the questions. And while Leah's doing that, I'll kind of play around in 10th Street and show you a little bit about where all of these tools are located while she's talking. All right, Leah?
Okay, so great job, Haley. Thank you. We've just got a couple questions right now. The first question that came through, actually, a couple are about the cost, the charge for the Reconnect tool. So I can tell you that if you already have Report Wizard, there's no additional charge that this will be included. We'll just have to have you set up. If you're interested, though, actually, if you don't have Report Wizard, then you'd need to talk to your advisor about the additional fee. But either way, just let your advisor or your account manager know, and we can get you set up on that. There's another question about cost as it pertains to Origins too. So for that, I will let Haley answer that question.
I'm sorry, Leah, what was that again?
The cost for Origins.
That's all based on your advisor can kind of help you with this. It's very inexpensive, though. I will tell you, it is a subscription fee, so something that you're similar to paying today for any of our solutions, but it is very low cost because we want you, the client, to get the value out of being able to measure and perform. We're Switzerland in that particular process. We don't want to interact or recommend or do something different than the numbers already show. So we just, kind of stay in Switzerland while you're able to look at the data and make some performance decisions and buying decisions based on Origins. So it is very inexpensive, but do speak to your advisor about it. I think you'll find it less expensive than most of our solutions.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, if you already do have Origins, the non-app source editions are of no charge. So that just is included. It's just the next version. Okay, George, here's one for you. Is there a report that summarizes Origins from initial contact with highest origin groups hitting the page first, second, and so on?
The answer to that is yes and no. So there isn't a direct report that will give you that information, but there's the ability to export to a spreadsheet, a file that gives you all the details in Origins. And some of our clients use that to track the times when each of the different applications hit the system. So indirectly, you can answer that using the detail report. And Sean, if you'd like to comment on that as well, please do.
No, I mean, you pretty much said what's in there. We will be making some changes to the funnel report tab inside of Origins within the coming weeks. I can definitely add that in as something that we'll look for. We're going to try to focus on making that funnel report have a little more value to it than what is in there right now. That'll go in addition to the spreadsheet that you're able to download. So if there are other requests like that anybody has, in terms of what we can do to make the Origins data a little more usable, please feel free to send your suggestions to your account manager, and they'll make sure to get it through to us. And that way we can figure out how we can get that to fit into the UI for you guys.
Okay, thank you. A couple more people just wanted me to repeat the cost on the Reconnect tool. So what I said was, if you had Report Wizard, there's no additional fee, and otherwise you just need to contact your advisor, but it's a very minimal charge. Let's see. Okay, George or John, I'm not sure who can answer this one. I think it's kind of a little more broad, but is the call integration Origin specific, or is it a standard 10th Street feature? We may need more information for that.
I mean, well, go ahead.
The call integration is available for our active calls solution as well. So call integration isn't specifically for Origins. You can have call integrations to use with active calls, which is a solution that we provide that allows you to see who's calling you while the call is going on. It uses the same set of information for Origin and feeds it to it. You will need to have your the vendor that's providing your call information connect to us via the API to get that information into the system. And John, certainly add anything I missed there.
No, that from my understanding, we can potentially do integrations with other call providers. It would just need to be something that we would need to get specs from them. So if there's a particular call system that anyone out there is using that we currently don't integrate with, again, it's kind of like let your account manager know, and we'll see if we can reach out to them and find out if there's a way for us to integrate with them. And then we'd be able to use them also inside of our system to gather that call data.
Right, and just to add to that, I know we do have an integration currently with Marchex. So that's already in place if anyone's using that. And that's all we've got right now.
All right, outstanding. Well, if you have any questions, please reach out to your advisor, your account manager, myself, George, regarding any of these solutions that might help you. Again, we thank you so much for joining. We know it takes time out of your very busy schedule. Hopefully all of you are getting to experience a long weekend, upcoming weekend, and I hope the weather is really good where you're at for that weekend and that you get to enjoy and spend time with your family. Thanks so much for joining us today. Leah, John, George, and myself all really appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.